Hi everyone. Hey, I'm back. It's been some time. Let's see if it works. Please comment in the chat if you're here, so I know that it works on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm back. I've been busy the past like month. I've been off YouTube, and I just thought I'm going to do a big I'm back podcast video with like some updates. What has all happened this month in February, like early this year? I have not do. I think I didn't even do a live stream in this month, this year. Um, yeah. Hi everybody. Let's see. Please do me a favor and post something in the chat. Ah, okay, Keaton. Hi. All right. Thanks. It works. Good to hear. Yeah. Just quickly going to check you LinkedIn. Usually I see some LinkedIn. But I can only see live viewers here on YouTube. So let me quickly check if it works on LinkedIn. Otherwise, I need to restart. I have LinkedIn open here. Yes. All right, I'm live. Great. Yeah. So Friday, that's the usual day where I do the live streams for the academy. I haven't been doing some for the academy. It works. Hi Kelly. Yeah. So I haven't been doing some for the academy because like I needed to figure out a new format. So yeah, about the update video, as I said, this is an update video because I haven't been live this year and I want to get back a bit more into live, but I was just so busy. So I want to like bring you in what's happening. I thought like this time I'm going to do a video just without the blue screen and everything, like back to where I started. Because like I was fighting in the past months with like it's whenever you do stuff like this, you're at some point it gets like stressful, and like you lose basically where you were coming from. So when I started this, back when I started the podcast and the YouTube videos, I was just doing YouTube videos to teach, like and deliver the message that data engineering is out there, and it's awesome. Like I felt like in the past months, it was more like we were posting stuff on YouTube, and you're looking at the analytics and like how many people viewed that. Are the thumbnails good? Working on the thumbnails, working on the titles, and like trying to post, and it's that you're sometimes or I felt like I'm losing the whole why I started this. And I started this because I like live streams, and because I like talking to you guys, like Kristen here. Hi, Kristen. Great to have you here. I haven't been talking to you for some time. Hope you're good. And yeah, so that's so basically I want to get back to a format where I can spend a bit more time, and I don't need to worry that much about like the views and that everything is awesome and like the blue screen and everything. I want to get back into a format where I can like just talk. And if you like it, you can stay here. If you don't like it, just leave. What we're going to do still, we're going to make like smaller cuts of this and bring them out and put them on YouTube. But I think I want to bring it back the podcast format where I'm taking a bit more time where I'm talking. Yeah, the artwork in the background, that's my daughter was doing that, except that thing here. I think that was from my wife, and I had my hands in that one, but like the rest is from my daughter. And like I felt like also like this stuff here, they are painting on my on that wall, and then like I thought, well, let's hang it up. and she likes it and I like it, so I'm going to leave it. Um, yeah. So like I need to get back into a more casual format in something where I feel a bit more relaxed. I had like in the last videos or in the last live streams, I was like under the on the clock. Like I need to get down a live stream, and it needs to be done in 30 or 45 minutes. And like this way, I'm sometimes I catch myself being out of breath, and it's a bit annoying, and I don't want to do it like that. So I'm going to take these videos, and they're also going to be available on the podcast. I'm going to put the whole thing, um, yeah, on the podcast as an audio platform. So if you're about the pictures from my daughter, unfortunately you can't see them on the podcast. Yeah. So let's see how that goes. I have a few topics today about the new platform and what I'm basically what I was up to this year, January, February, and now in March, um, where I need your help or help of a friend of yours. Um, a bit about the live streams in the academy, and yeah, some stuff about what I've learned in the coaching sessions about some interesting topics and so on. So I'm not really sure how long this this podcast goes. Let's see how this all works. Yeah. So let me start first with showing you a bit like what I was working on earlier this year, and I think now I'm it's as finished, so I don't have to do that much on like setting everything up and configuring stuff, and I can work more on the actual content. So if you remember back last year, what we were working on, or how the platform that I had was Team Data Science. So with Team Data Science, let me share it on the screen here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Stop the screen to share the screen. Come on. Oh no, let me do it like this. So basically, yeah. So basically, how that worked was we had a platform, Team Data Science, and I imagined it as like the main hub of our platform, and there we focused on engineering stuff. I had the academy there, I had the coaching there, and all the links to YouTube and so on and so on, and a blog, and links to courses and to people I like who are doing good stuff for the whole data science space. Now, as it is sometimes when you're working in the business, let me. Oh, that's wrong. Here, when you're having a business or you're owning a business, sometimes you're working with accounting and stuff, and you're getting really some problems you wouldn't have imagined. And one thing was like with the old platform, something was with the sales tax. So this year we're no longer sales tax exempt, so we needed to figure out sales tax, and because people were like basically paying to us directly, we would have to register in every country where people buy courses from us, and we would have to like give or pay them the sales tax. So as you can imagine, as a small company, as a small team, we can't do that. So I was like prompted with the problem, okay, we need to switch the platform. That was basically when I decided, okay, we're going to leave Team Data Science behind. We're going to go to learndataengineering.com. The idea behind that was, first of all, I couldn't take Team Data Science just with me because like I needed some time to build the new thing. Also, I didn't like how the message of Team Data Science generally. Generally, Team Data Science people were like thinking this is also like something for data scientists, where we teach machine learning and stuff, or I teach machine learning and stuff, and that's not what I do. I'm an engineer, and I want to bring yeah, evangelize for data engineering, and I want to teach people data engineering. So this needs to be something with data engineering. And luckily, I found the URL learndataengineering.com was free, so I immediately bought it. Oh, that's a great idea, learndataengineering.com. And so that's basically how I got to the point where I had the URL. I was looking also into platforms, like which platform would be a good platform to actually build the new academy on, because it needed to be something that works good with like schools, like online schools. And there are a few options. One thing that friends of mine use is Teachable. And so I was looking into Teachable, and we actually moved to Teachable now, and we're completely on Teachable. We still keep Team Data Science as like the company and stuff, but the main focus, the main portal, the academy, everything is on learndataengineering.com. So we basically build our stuff there, and it's a really nice, it's a good platform, because it's very quick for videos. It works a lot better. It's a lot more user friendly. You can add comments to lessons and everything. So it's for me, it's a great platform, as well as they are taking care of the actual charging. So I don't have to we don't have to take care of that, and we only work with Teachable, and that's for us a big plus. And this is a way how we can like do business, because otherwise I would need to stop everything. Like would never have worked. So that's a lesson. Um, if you're trying to do something like that, look into leveraging the companies that are out there who are going to help you, like online schools, because they are taking off. Of course, they are taking a cut. You're paying for the platform, you're paying for the processing, some fees, but they make the life actually better and allow you to do business. Otherwise, would never be possible. So let me quickly give you an overview, because I really like how the new site turned out. And Mira, I need to send a huge thanks to Mira, who is helping me building all this. Without her, I would have never gotten so far, because I'm like lousy in design, and like I'm terrible. I'm an engineer. I have no idea about design and like formatting and how to structure websites, though it makes sense and so on. So Mira basically took over everything, and built and she built all the websites. So huge thanks to Mira. I'm also going to, well, if you go to Team Data Science, she's one of the admins there. She also takes care of our Team Data Science LinkedIn page. So let me quickly share the screen here. So that's so basically the new site. If you're on the podcast, I'm not sure how that makes sense, but like the new site basically has on the top side what we have, or on the main homepage. I wanted to get the message clear is what we're building here, or what I'm building here with my team. We're building the best data engineering academy out there. So that's what we're going for. It's the academy for engineers, from engineers, where you are getting data engineering, not all the other stuff out there, like on Udacity or on Udemy and so on, where you have all types of courses. We're focusing just on data engineering. There might be in the future here and there some machine learning for data engineers, but like that's the main focus. You can get to onto our mailing list, and I basically, when you scroll down, you have the two products, the two services that we are basically selling. You have our engineering academy and the coaching. So basically, the academy is an annual subscription where you get access to all the courses and all the future courses that are coming within this year that you're here. With the coaching, that's where I do personal coaching, where I help people on Zoom calls, and within 3 months you can come. I'm doing right now. I'm doing 4 sessions. I started another round in January, and in February. January was a quite slow coaching round. 2 people joined on in February. And in January, the February group was 7 people. So someone, I had to move one, or unfortunately one of them wanted to join in March. So I have 5 more slots for March, for everyone who's coming, or who's interested in data engineering. And also, what I was working on in the last weeks was basically helping people finding out if data engineering was for them. So, because like data engineering in general, data engineering is one of these newer topics. A lot of people know what a data scientist is and what a data scientist does, but like data engineering is a bit unclear. People are thinking, okay, should I go into data engineering? Is that something for me? And what I did uh, is I basically, and that's something you can do. If forget about the academy, if you're just to find out if data engineering is something for you, I have a link on our homepage, learndataengineering.com. Should you learn data engineering, and you can, I made a test on Google Forms where you can start, and where you can basically where you get points, or where you score points, and based on your score, basically you get the answer if this is something you should look into, or if if it's something you could add for. Basically, if it's something that you shouldn't look for, that's the 0 to 30 points is like, okay, this is not for you. The 30 to 31 to 50 is something like, okay, data engineering could be helpful for you in your current job, like for improving your knowledge, for getting some new infos that help you. And like everything above 50 is that data engineering is something you can be good at, you most likely like, and you can learn for getting a data engineer job. So that's basically the idea what I had with this, so that people can actually find out, okay, is data engineering actually something for me, or is that something that isn't, or should I look somewhere else, or could this help me on, and not just be like a full profession, but add to my, for instance, a data scientist. As if you come in here as a data scientist, do the test, you're going to find out if if data engineering will help you or not. So that was my intention basically with this with this with the test. And I have a few, I created a few tests basically for this one, and I also created one. I also created one for the coaching. If you're unsure if the coaching is for you, you can. I made a test or assessment here. Maybe I changed the wording in the future, where you can go. It's as well as a Google form, and you can go there and you can just fill it out. I added the links as well there if you're coming from outside, and you can basically find out, okay, data engineering is something for you. Can the coaching help you? What are we doing in the coaching? And for that, I added basically to each question that is in there. Um, uh, so basically, I made here this first of all general stuff, general questions. I need to fill it out here, and then I had some. Should we click through it? Should we click through it? Okay, so like I want to become a data engineer. You can spend 5 to 10 hours a week on working with this, because it's like if you don't have a lot of time, the coaching is not really helpful because you need to spend some time actually looking at stuff and researching, because I can't do all the research for the people. And yeah, then I had something about the hours. Let's just mark one. And what people expect from the coaching, like if do they expect to be mentored, or they need to like holding the hand and one on like exactly what people should do. That's usually not, that's not what we do here. Because like it makes more sense if people go out and they learn, and I help them by, okay, look at this, giving some general overview of a topic, and then basically pointing people always to the right direction in the coaching, helping with pipelines. But then the I'm always trying to point people to taking the decision themselves. Like in the last coaching on Thursday morning, yesterday morning, yes, we had there was the topic like, okay, which database do we choose? Do we let me stop the sharing. On the coaching, we talked about it, like, do we use some SQL database? Do we use some NoSQL database? We're on AWS. Should we use DynamoDB? And usually, what I want to do is like not tell someone, okay, use this because of that, or just use DynamoDB and go on. I'm always trying to, okay, you have these options, and look into this and these topics depending on these. So you have three databases, for instance, as example. You have three databases to choose. You have these and these important topics that you should look into, and compare them in these databases, for instance, and then make the decision yourself. And then the next time we're talking about these decisions, why did you choose it? And this way people learn a lot more than me going in there and like telling them everything and holding their hand and telling them, okay, code now, code this, code this, code this. Doesn't make sense. So basically that's why I was asking about this. And yeah, if people are buying this for themselves, or on the job training, because we can send out some receipts with the company name, because it's easier for people to get the money back from the company if the company name is on the receipt. Then I had some software development questions here, like, okay, can you code in Python, and what's the Python level? um, what kind of databases, what kind of data have people working on? CSV, JSON, also other stuff. And experience with like Git, because Git is very important for actual, yeah, for actually doing the software development, for collaboration with colleagues. It's a thing that people need to know. Then I had something about databases here, like, have you been working with relational databases before? Let's say yes. Simple statements. Which type of queries have you been working with? And have you been designing NoSQL, a SQL database before? Let's say no here. So that's important, because SQL, you can look here and there. SQL is still the most important language for querying databases. And like, I know I always say SQL databases. Usually it should say relational databases. Usually people give me shit about that, but like, I always like keeping with SQL. And yeah, so that, because they are very, very important. A lot of people have them, a lot of companies have them. And then I have a complete list of optional questions where you can write me a comment, where you can mark like, okay, Linux, NoSQL databases, server structures, everything, basically Docker, REST APIs, your experience from no skill 0 to expert 3. I intentionally used only 4, because then there's no middle ground. Like, you need to decide, am I in the lower 2, so 0 or a bit, or 0 or beginner, immediate or expert, but there's no in a lot of quizzes you have five possibilities of answering, and that's something I read somewhere. I'm not sure where I read that, like because you should do a number of possibilities where there is no middle ground. There is no like I'm in the middle, because a lot of people are going to um, choose. Okay, I'm half decent, like I'm average. There is so the thing is, the good thing is having no average, like having either you're below, you're like not so good, or you're good or better. So that's basically that's where people can choose. And yeah, then you can, let me share it again. Then you can basically send it up. Then you need to select traffic lights here. Thank you, Google. Boom, boom. Now there are no bikes. There was a motorcycle. And so then you can, after that, you can see your count, 23 of 27. So basically, this is a very, very good fit. And this way, that you here I also have all the answers that are written, so you can then check if this is something for you. And yeah, this way, because I'm collecting the emails, if you like do the assessment, and you have some questions, you can just write me an email, andreas@teamdatascience.com, or on LinkedIn here, and just say, okay, Andreas, I'm not sure. Can you please check what I my answers, does that fit? What do you suggest I can do? The same thing goes for the data engineering test. So this way, people can come to me and can ask me, can test themselves and can ask me what I think, or how they should proceed. Yeah. So that's basically that is. Let me quickly check course screen. Okay. Yeah. So these are a few of the first things. I need to rearrange quickly my script, because like I already talked about stuff I didn't have here. Yeah, any questions about that? Let me know, guys. What do you think? Let's add a quick Q&A round between that, before I like go further and like talk about more where I need your help, and what I want to do in the next few months. Are there any questions? I'm going to check LinkedIn as well, because it feels like there's either people have left, or doesn't work right. But it seems like to work right. Okay, just type in the chat what you think, what questions you have around data engineering. I'm happy to help. It doesn't need to be here about directly what I talk. Yeah. One question here was, you mentioned that a good way to start is to building pipelines one piece at a time. How do you do that with simple tools first? Well, the thing is, what you should do is, as you said, you should start by actually selecting a few tools and working with them. One thing I always say is, select yourself a data set, take the data set from Kaggle or wherever, and try to do something with it. I have in my cookbook, and you can go to the cookbook if you are on my website, on our website, on the dataengineering.com. If you scroll completely down, no, not here. If you scroll completely down, I have links to the engineering cookbook and to the podcast and the Telegram chat group. So within the cookbook, oh no, that's not what I want. Maybe we need to change the link here. Need to change the link here. Let me quickly find it. Within my cookbook, I have in the introduction here, I have my data engineering or data science platform blueprint. And what I would do is I would just start by focusing on like a few tools there and working with them. Like you select, you store some data somewhere and you do some processing. Like for instance, if you're a bit more into the data scientist route, you set up a notebook and you work with the notebook and process the data. And then what you do is you add something to it. You could add a message queue to it, something like Kafka, or if you're working on AWS, add a kinesis to it. Then you would add a Lambda function that takes the data out of the message queue and processes it and puts it into some storage. Could be a file storage, could be a database. And this way, you always you're like growing your platform and growing your knowledge. You could say, okay, I'm not interested in message queues. Let's just take the data, store it somewhere as a file. I'm going to read it with a notebook. For instance, in SageMaker, you use a notebook, and then I'm going to store it and save it to to DynamoDB or some NoSQL database or a relational database. And then add a visualization to it, maybe add an API to it where you can then stream data in. And this is how I would go at it to actually grow your knowledge, grow your data, grow your pipelines, grow your platform. Not like build or when you start out, because when you start out, you're not sure which stuff to actually choose. Like what are the right tools? What's the right platform? So like start with that and and grow your project. Ragunan asks any insight on upcoming courses. Yes, I had that plan to talk about that later, but we can already talk about that. So upcoming courses, what we're currently working on is this. As I said, we have the academy. And in the academy, when you go to the academy, you have there are 9 courses in the academy. There's a Learn Data Engineering course. That's like a general course that's going to help you from beginner to building your platform and pipelines and bringing you to a point, for instance, with the AWS example, so you can apply to jobs. And there's also CSV help in it, and so on and so on. I have Introduction to Data Engineering, the live streams. And what we just started is we started we started introducing a Python course, Introduction to Python. That's a course that I didn't build. It's a course Amit built, Amit Jain. He's a machine learning expert, but he's also because he's a machine learning expert, he is working a lot with Python. And so Amit basically built a course, and he's going to record, as he said, he's going to record the final chapters this week, or maybe next week. So we're bringing more content to this, and then this course is finished. And the cool thing is, you don't have to pay for courses. You can just enroll to the whole academy, and then you get all the courses. So that's one of the courses that are coming. That are already part of here, but are coming. I'm also right now going to I'm looking at bringing in more course creators. That's where I need your help. If you are if you're interested in creating a course, or if you know someone who like wants to create courses and wants to teach, tell them about our academy. Because in the academy, what I have created is, when you go to our site learndataengineering.com and you click on the academy, there is a yellow bar that says become a course creator for our academy. And I added there as well a form where people can where interested people can like send in their email address and their name, and tell me basically what courses am I interested in creating, and a bit about your level on this topic, if you've been teaching before, how you would like to contribute. Sometimes people already have a course, so if they have a course, they can bring it here if they can. A link to some video, a link to the LinkedIn profile. They can propose a title and a summary, a description, how long the course should be, and the compensation and how long they need. Also some other comments. And this way I can actually get to people, and I can ask you, okay, what are you interested in? Okay, who interested people can fill out the form, and I can get back to you. Like I'm right now, I'm talking to 5 new course creators who already filled out the form. Like maybe we can bring in very, very quickly a lot of cool engineering courses. Like we were talking about more about SQL database or relational databases. We were talking about Hadoop. We were talking about GCP, Docker. So these topics might come very, very soon, and I'm really, really working on that. So as I said, if you know someone, I would we're of course we're paying for that, so it's we're taking care of. I think we're really fair, and for me the main thing is that we bring more value, because I know the academy isn't cheap. I completely understand that. It's somehow we need to yeah, we need to bring value to actually make it worthwhile. I think right now what you have in the academy is already worth the price, but I know people like want more and more and more, and I also want to make this bigger and bigger and bigger and even better value. So I want to bring in more course creators. I also want to do a few courses myself. One, I have the idea of creating a course, the data science language, a bit about what data scientists talk about, like machine learning and all these topics related to data scientists. I guess you need to work a lot with data scientists and understand actually what they want, how data scientist stuff works, how machine learning works. So that's something I'm currently thinking about, as well as a course on message queues, on Kafka kinesis, and so on. So to show you what type of pipelines can you build, when do you use them. That's something I'm currently working on. Yeah, as well. Yeah, as well as like the coaching every week. Yeah, that's about that. I need to look at my script if I had some more about I wanted to add there. Just one sec. My update video notes, course creators, new Amit's course. Yeah, about that. So let's quickly get to another question. There's a huge one. Chinmoy, how can a master's graduate gain experience when companies are looking for experience beyond 2 years? Will freelance online projects count? If so, how can how can one do them? Okay. Also, does your course help address this aspect? Because the job search is proving to be very hard in engineering Profiles get rejected due to a lack of relevant experience. Any suggestions will be a big help. Thanks. Yeah. So the thing is, and I realize that, and I know that people are right now. People are looking for engineers, and they want finished data engineers. They want finished engineers. It's hard to get them. Um, that's because like people were, or in the past few years, people were pushing the data scientists, data scientists, data scientists, data scientists, and now people realize, oh shit, we need to actually have some data engineers or some engineers who build the platforms, who build the pipelines to automate everything and monitor everything, basically for the ops part. And like the actual machine learning part is only a small part. So I think, and that's what I experienced. It's a mixture of both. So you need a good you need a how do you call this? You need to have a basis. So it's very beneficial if you already come from a computer science background, if you have done a master's or a bachelor's degree, or if you have experience working in IT. You could be a database developer or something. That's really that's already good. Like if you come and you start with actual zero computer science skills, it's hard. It's hard. I completely understand that. And it's you maybe for junior roles, or yeah, maybe for junior roles, or maybe first doing an internship, which I personally don't like it. If you're already like have a master's degree, then do an internship, but could be worthwhile. But let me quickly get to the question again, so I don't forget something. Will freelance projects count? Yes. So one thing I always recommend for my students in the coaching is to find out which companies and which industries you want to get into, and look into what's currently available on the market. So do a research on the job openings and job descriptions. Then start building a project by using data that is in line of that industry. Like when you think about banking, it would be good to have some banking data that you work with. If you think about e-commerce, would be good to have some e-commerce transactions or e-commerce payment stuff where people are buying stuff, and you create invoices and so on, or where you also can do some analytics. And then you start building a platform on it, and you do some work with it. You think about, okay, what would a company most likely need? They would need some insight into their data. They maybe need a data warehouse. And so start by actually start from that, and by building a project and basically learning the engineering on the go. Because this way, when you get to someone to an interview, or when you send out your CV, you can basically, if you have documented that, you can send people to your documentation and show off what you have done and show off your knowledge. And that's a lot better, or it's a lot better than having a certificate. Just a certificate or a master's degree basically shows the basics are done, but like you could just learn for or train for the tests and be like not very good at it, but you have A's in the tests. But if you have a project where you can actually show off that you have done something, that's really, really helpful. And that's where I aim with the coaching. That's also where I'm aiming with the academy, to create a project. Like if you think about, you're getting some questions in the interview, you could say, okay, or try to think about, okay, I've done this actually in my project that I have created in a way. And then you could talk, like steer the talk actually to your project, and explain like on the real world use case what you have done. Otherwise, it's always like, okay, hypothetical. Having a project also helps you that the interviewer can recognize the project and can think about some questions regarding that project. And this way you can steer a bit the questioning, and you can get a bit an easier start in interviews, and you're also ahead of the competition in that case. Um, yeah, for instance, what we have in the academy, what I created, like I'm not sure, half a year ago, an AWS quick start course where you can basically build a platform on AWS for e-commerce processing right away. So if you want to get into e-commerce, you can go there, start that project. That will cost you around 20-30 bucks on AWS, depending on how long you run it. And then you're good. That's then you already have your project. You need to document that. Without documentation, you can forget it. You need a documentation. That's where we do. Okay, I'm also doing like we're going to do like smaller courses. We help people get into Python if they don't have some knowledge there. So that's basically where we help building projects and helping you get into certain industries and working on and jobs where they work with certain platforms. I hope that helped. Chimoy, I hope that helped. Let me know in the comments if that helped. Also, Kelly was asking, what is the difference between data science and data engineering? So generally, I've been getting asked this a lot. Maybe I should do a visualization on that or something. You have to think about that like the data science thing. When you look at the data scientist mainly uses the data. So the data scientist takes the data from somewhere, does some analytics with it, creates some results, and then the data scientist sends the results somewhere and does all the processing. That's only one part of the whole thing. The other part around it, like the whole engineering part of like building the actual platform, figuring out how the data is going to come in, figuring out how the data is getting stored so that the data scientist can use it, figuring out the tools to use for actually storing the data, and so on and so on. That's the part of the engineer, like building the platform. Sometimes the platform's already there, building the pipelines, building the data structures, and making sure that everything is automated and everything runs. And the data scientist works with the data. It's basically doing the analytics part. That's usually how I describe these and how these two fit together. And it's very easy. You can think of like, do I want to analyze data? Then the scientist route. Do I want to basically work on the data, like figuring out? Do I want to like work on the data, that modeling it and so on? That's the engineering route. LinkedIn user says sometimes it shows LinkedIn user. I don't know why it shows LinkedIn user. Maybe it's some configuration in your account. The academy is the least expensive option when compared to Udacity and recent bootcamps in data engineering. Yeah, it's like, I know, like bootcamps, I'm not sure if like with bootcamps, I'm not sure if it's worth it to like get a boot camp, go into a boot camp, and like for $10,000, and do some prepared tasks and get teached a bit. I'm not sure. I haven't done a boot camp myself, so I would need someone with experience who can talk about boot camps. One thing that is good with one thing that is good with boot camps is they usually have some connections to recruiters and to companies. So the chance of the theoretical chance, I'm not sure how high the chance is, the theoretical chance of getting placed out of a into a job out of the boot camp could be higher than um, just doing a project and trying to search jobs online and apply to them. That could be a benefit of boot camps. Otherwise, I think what we do, for instance, in the coaching, is really it's completely custom. Um, yes, I have some prepared stuff like the AWS course, and if I have a student who is like in the early phases, I'm trying to like do a lead or a lead example or a lead project using AWS. I currently have one of my students who's basically in the early phase and or he has not that much experience with computer science. So what we do is we basically, first of all, the person selects the data and we think about some goals, and then I lead that person through the actual AWS course and give some tips and we talk about everything, so this person understands actually why are we doing this, and has some like source codes that help you along. So that's basically how this usually went goes in the coaching. Of course, in the academy you have that we're doing the weekly live streams where you can ask questions like this one. Yeah. So that's basically where this is usually going. Um, it would be great to have a course on Azure, but it's rapidly evolving ecosystem. Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Like Azure is coming very, very strongly. Um, it's just for me, I would also love to do a Azure course. Maybe I find someone who can create like a first Azure course. I'm just right now, I learned my lesson. Like I cannot create big courses. I cannot sit down and create just the AWS or a Azure course right now because I would need to start as well from zero. But I simply don't have the time. I'm working a full-time job, and I'm doing the coaching 4 times a week. Plus, plus if I get new coaching students, then we do a bit more. So that's I can't handle it. I'm like that's why I want to bring in more people. If someone of you or if you know someone who has knowledge in Azure and would like to do a course, send them to learndataengineering.com and have them fill out the form. I would gladly take someone to do a Azure course. Maybe someone of the people that I'm currently talking with can do a GCP course. One I'm talking about GCP course. That would be really cool to have like start with that. Um, yeah, about the live stream. So how this and this is also for my coaching students, for my academy students. How we're going to do the live streams from now on is we're going to do it like this. So we're taking I'm doing live streams for the academy public. People who are in the academy can send me questions earlier, for instance on Slack, or comment here on the stream before everyone else. I'm going to leave the stream online on YouTube here for like a day, and then I'm going to pull it from YouTube and I'm going to add it to the academy. Within the academy, what we have here, let me show you. Within the academy, we basically have a am I in here in the academy? No, I think I need to select just a second. I need to select a different screen here. Basically, in the academy, we have the weekly Q&A live stream, and here's a basically. Do you see it? Yeah. And here's basically a collection of like all the streams we've done, and you can just go in there. And this one was on YouTube. I'm also going to. This is unlisted on YouTube, but I'm also going to bring them back in here as a video, so we have them basically here, and we can. Right. For instance, in this course, I was doing some sketching on here. I'm sketching on Miro a few things. building a bit of stuff, and we were talking here about some code, a bit more sketching about the Elasticsearch stack. Yeah, so that's basically how this works. I'm going to, as I said, we're going to do the live streams here, so other people can also join in questions, because usually it's with the live streams in the coaching, people are not here. It's like with the times, sometimes I realize that live streams don't work for everyone. This way, everyone can join. I can, like, if someone is in the academy, I can have they can write in questions early, and I make sure I like talk about these questions, and then the full thing is going to go as a podcast on my podcast that is available basically everywhere. You can go on. The podcast is on Anchor. It's on Spotify. It's on here. Let me show you. The podcast listen now. So basically, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, RSS. What? Yeah, Apple Podcasts. Yeah, that's on iTunes. Yeah. So basically, on all the major platforms, and this is where also the this podcast is going to go. But I think this one I'm going to leave on YouTube. So as like a general as a general first or big um, a big introduction or welcome back podcast for myself. Yeah. So let me look at the questions. Are there more questions? Can you please give a general overview of pros and cons of GCP versus AWS? What's the easiest cloud provider to start with for data engineering? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Easy or not, it doesn't matter. AWS is globally, if you think about, except of China, because they're not in China. If you think about the US and the EU and so on, AWS is the biggest one. So getting a job or applying AWS knowledge in a job is very reasonable. Then after, or very, very unreasonable. How's that right word? I'm missing the word. Not reasonable. Also not obvious. So there are high chances. Let's say it differently. There are high chances that you find a job where you can apply AWS skills. There are also, like the other jobs, that you can have GCP or Azure. It also depends on like where you are. If you're in the US, I would look at AWS. That's the most used. If you have some students from Norway, they say Norway, it's just Azure. Nobody uses AWS in Norway, for instance. Then it makes sense to actually, if you want to stay in Norway and get a job there, that you learn Azure. That's basically how it is. Do some research of the jobs in your area. What do they require? What are people looking for? And then learn that. Generally, from a when you compare the overall tools that are on these platforms, it's most of the time the same. So it's not that crazy. I personally, I like AWS. I have worked with AWS. I like it. It's a bit different than usual. Like if you're working on premise, Azure is a bit more. When you look at the Azure interface and how you set stuff up, it's a bit more aimed towards companies who have already worked with on-premise and have people who are familiar with on-premise skills and like how you set up stuff. that's where Azure I think shines a bit more. If you're starting from scratch and you get some cloud experts, I would maybe I would look into AWS more. Yeah. Here's another question. That's an interesting question. Before we move on, can you create IoT pipeline project using cheap hardware like a Raspberry Pi? So, if you think about that, of course, like you can. It depends on which stages do you want. Do you want to build everything on a Raspberry Pi? Usually, when you think about the Internet of Things, it should involve the internet. So you should build something with the hardware Raspberry Pi, who's like collecting data and sending the data somewhere. You could make a very, very simple project. Raspberry Pi, send some REST calls to an API on AWS. And then on that AWS, you store it somewhere and you visualize it with the dashboard. Boom, done, done. Very simple. Like, use the hardware for what it is, like a piece of data acquisition, and then go into the internet and use the cloud platforms to actually build you a piece of pipeline or a pipeline, complete pipeline from data acquisition, ingestion, storage, visualization, with some processing in the middle, and then that's it. Like, and it will not cost you a lot. Usually these things are quite cheap to build um, on the cloud platforms, because software as a service tools, if you just start out, cost like nothing. Okay. Let me quickly check. Was there something? Yeah, no. Okay. There's another question. Do engineers need to learn a JVM language like Scala or Java nowadays? I've heard that companies tend to avoid building their data infrastructure on Python. I wouldn't say that. Building data infrastructure on Python, that depends a bit on. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Every time you hear about Scala nowadays, Scala is Scala in that realm. Data engineering Scala equals Spark, because people are working with Spark a lot, and maybe they have some older maybe they have an older Spark version where the Python libraries or the Python APIs are not that good, or they have some legacy stuff they build in Scala, or they just want to stay with Scala. That's more or less the only tool, the only system that really uses Scala. Generally, I think when you look at everything and what's currently going on, I'm coming from the Java world. I'm not a very good Python developer. I'm coming from the Java world. I'm a good Java developer for over 10 years, or 50. Or I think that's almost 15 years. But when you look at where everything is moving towards Python. All the tools have really, really great Python interfaces, Python libraries, how you can manipulate data or process data in Python with some libraries like pandas or others. It's amazing. So people build more or work more with Python. The actual infrastructure, the actual tools, they're usually, or they're sold, I think, maybe not that often built with Python, but like that's how I would say the industry is headed. The industry is headed towards Python everywhere. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, what does my new course, a meets course, been talk was talking about the mean scores. Yeah, I'm already an hour in, so I'm not sure if I want to go super long. I could check this. Our daughter is coming home. She has nothing better to do than knock the door like crazy. So yeah, what I'm also going to do on the live streams is usually talk a bit about what we've been talking in the coaching sessions, some insights from the coaching. I had some this week. I had some really good results regarding Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is a search engine or an indexing tool where you can basically push in JSON strings or JSON documents, and that indexes that, and you can search on these documents. And the cool thing is, like, when you think about indexing and when you think about these tools like Elasticsearch, you immediately think about something like Google, where you or pushing in tweet data and searching through the tweets and figuring out some keywords. But these tools are actually very good for logging stuff. So like logging processes and figuring out, okay, I have a 3-step process. Let's log the success rate and the failures of each of the tools. You can build some really nice graphs and dashboards where you quickly have an overview what's happening, and you can very simply drill down into the errors and find out what's going wrong. So that's where this stuff really comes in, and I think this is something I need to look into more, because it's really helpful. And logging is a huge part. What you don't want to do is like sift, or how do you call this? Sift through, search through log files. That's something you don't want. Like, and with these tools where you index stuff, help you a lot. So I really, this could also be a really good course to build. Yeah, we've also been talking a bit about this week about where to make sure or validate the data, because when you think about, let me go back to the blueprint. Do I still have the blueprint open? Because when you think about, for everyone on the podcast, I'm talking about like the blueprint with the phases: connect, buffer, process, framework, and store, that you can read on my in my cookbook. So basically, when you think about, okay, you have an API here, where do you validate the data? Do you validate the data directly on the API? Do you validate the data here in the before you put it in the buffer? When you take it out of the buffer and process it, do you validate the data then if you store it? Where do you make sure that the data is okay, that the data makes sense? And I found this a really interesting question, because like it gives a lot of depth of like thinking about an operations part, where you need to validate the data. And it's like, generally, I think you have to think about this in terms of, okay, what do you need? If you need to make sure that the transaction is processed correctly, think about a credit card transaction, or someone buys something. You want to make sure in an API call that this transaction actually is valid, and it's not the actual JSON string. If you get a JSON string, is not malformed. So you would already, once you ingest the data, you would then You would then make sure that you validate the data and send the result back to the client. Tell the client, okay, listen, this transaction not going through. This credit card number wrong. We have some problem with the transaction. Something is strange. That's what you would do in this case. Some other cases where you have some think about and one of you asked about IoT, a small IoT pipeline with a Raspberry Pi. Think about people use Raspberry Pis for actually measuring the weather data out there, or have some weather stations that are sending data into your platform. So when you think about first where the data is going to go through is in the connect phase, for instance, to an API. Do you really validate the weather data? Tell the weather station this data doesn't make sense? Or do you go and just take the data, say, okay, I got it, and then filter it out in the back end, like filter it out in the processing behind it, so it will not get into the store, and the wrong data will be showed to the customer. You have a failure there. That's something where you need to think about, okay, where is it possible, where it is necessary. If it's like if you can drop the data and it's not really important, because you know that weather data is going to send me another data point in 10 minutes, like, who cares? So that's something actually to think about, and that actually I needed to think about when I got this question, like, oh, what's a good question, what's a good answer here, because it depends, like, what do you want to do, how important is the data that you're processing. Yeah, so that's something to think about. Okay, I'm fighting here with my stupid boom army. Kelly is asking here, what about our program? Is it used more in data science than data scientist? Yes. R is more used if we in actually analyzing the data, actually working with the data, creating results, creating some analytics parts. For engineering, I'm sure if I think I don't know any engineer who's using R. So that's definitely in the data scientist realm. Yeah, where you have the change, usually the question Python or R. A lot of people use Python, a lot of people use R. Depends a bit on what you want to do, but I'm not an expert in that. So yeah, that's there. All right. So the next part that I have would be something I found really funny. I'm currently I'm working with I'm playing around with memes, like stupid memes about data engineering and data scientists or data science, and I find it really interesting, like the feedback of these. It's sometimes it's a bit ironic. You can do some posts on LinkedIn, really technical posts, make it nice, but they're not getting any traction. People are not clicking on it. If you do some memes, people are actually starting to answer it. People are reacting to it. It's really funny, and like I'm amazed by it. I was just playing around with it. I was like, I was blown away by how many people actually react to memes. Like I'm like, I was totally perplexed. So I made a few memes lately. Let me. I want to show them to you. Maybe you find them as funny as I, because some of them I think were really good. I laughed about my own jokes. Well, that's how I am. So one of them was basically I can't do this differently. was basically data engineer, talk to customers or draw 25, data engineer, like having like 25, 50 cards. I think that's something, deep down we're all just nerds. Like, it's, as an engineer, the engineer wants to build stuff, wants to work with the tools, wants to figure out the pipelines, the storage, and everything. I find it like a lot of people don't like to talk to customers or to the business people. It's like, leave me alone. I want to build stuff. And I find this really, really funny because that happens to me as well sometimes. Like, I just would like to build something. So this is, I found this funny. Um, as well as, I think this one also here. This one, the people were really pissed. People were really pissed about here. Big data, 2010 to 2018 data science. Like, if you're on the podcast, it's like a tombstone where it says big data and data science, and then some guy, really cool in front of it, and like a peace sign. Like, it's like people are like a cool sign. So people are, were really, really pissed about that. Oh, well, big data isn't dead, and like, you can't say that, because what I just wanted to, like, what were people saying here? 166 comments here. I couldn't even get to all of them. The hype may be gone, good, but big data is still very much alive and won't be going away. And some people really, like, um, didn't understand the actual joke I wanted to make. Um, like, yes, big data is, the hype is gone, and it's really, really good, that the hype is gone. Of course, the tools and the actual, processing behind it, the idea behind it, is still there, and is very, how would you say this? It 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 got to a stage where it's just in production. Nobody talks about it anymore, because of where, like, people within the big data area or era, when I joined it, people were more like tool focused. Like, we can do this, use these tools, and we can process that much data and do some cool stuff with it. And but the actual focus was more on the tools and less on the actual, okay, we can do these things with it. And so I think that's something that is really cool, that people were going away from that, and where data science came in, and like, actually people are focusing more on the overall, okay, how can we make a business out of it, how can we analyze the data, how can we work with it, instead of just like being into the tools and being into, these are not the 4 V's, are not the right 4 V's. There are 5 V's, there are 6 V's, 10 V's of big data. It's like, I'm happy that this is over. And I'm guessing the data science, hype will also go at some point, and people will realize it's the important part is analytics. Let me try to fix my microphone here a bit. It's like, I have the feeling you can't really see me. Okay, so that's basically, where I'm, why I did this meme, and why I still find it very, very funny, and also that people are really pissed about it. That's really funny to me. Yeah, I have a lot more, but like, I don't want to go into all of them. Um, I had one that I found really interesting, um, where people were like telling me, listen, it's actually the other way around. This one is interesting because I wanted to make a good point here. Um, Let me start it. So the if you're on the podcast and listen to it, it's a GIF where someone is tries to fish and is trying to throw the line, and he's like running towards the edge of the harbor, and then he basically falls into the water because he like does one step too much. And I just wrote data scientist trying to do engineering without proper guidance. um that's basically, I wanted to make that point, like, yes, people are always telling we are data scientists, we can do engineering as well, we're also good engineers. It's something different. Data engineering is different than science, than data scientist stuff. A scientist, yes, can also do some engineering, but if you really want to build a platform and pipelines, you need some full-time engineers. The scientist should focus on the science, should focus on working with the science tools, figuring out how to process the how to analyze the data and generate value out of the data. That's what the data scientist learned. That's what the data scientist is best at. That should be the focus on the data scientist. And everything around the engineering part, I have a few I also talked about this in my introduction to data engineering course. Everything around that, there should be data engineers there, and they should actually take care of everything. They should take care of the engineering and not the data scientist. Usually, if you let them loose, and I have on my Insta, I had some more memes, like a huge crash for on Indy 500. Everything goes through, and like I wrote something like, when you give data scientists free reign on your platform, because like these people are the data scientists are more do more care about, not about the actual how can we bring this into production, more about targeted, okay, how can we solve these problems. And so they, if you give them free reign, they are going to set up 20 different systems, and you can never operate it. So you need some engineers who actually work on on building building it scalable, building it practical for operations. Yeah. um I do hear some more questions. I do hear more business-facing data engineers who gather business requirements for data modeling. Mm, I'm not a huge fan about that. It depends a bit on where you are. Like, you can do data engineering without actually doing data science. I think that I've been thinking about that a lot, and I also made a post about that some time ago. Like, is data engineering really a part of data science, or should this be a separate field? I think it can be. It's a bit of both. Like, if you want to do data science, you need some good data engineering behind it. But you can also use, if you're working more on a traditional platform and you want to do some like with a data warehouse, or you want to bring in other tools, or existing platforms or existing databases, then you need to have some data engineers who are talking with the business, who are talking with someone who already has some data, how to actually bring it into into a platform, and to how to model the data and make it available for. And then it doesn't need to be a data scientist who works with the data. Could be an analyst, could also be someone from the sales department or something. So I think data engineering should also be a bit more a part of or should be also seen a bit more like not just data science, and under data science, like a separate thing. And so that's when the data engineer needs to talk to the business, actually, when there's the actual use case is more of a traditional use case than the actual science or scientist use case. Yeah. So that's why I think some data engineers are talking to the business. Without mentioning tools in resume, they won't shortlist us, right? Yeah, Vishnu. You need some tools or some naming of the tools in your resume, in your CV. And I had some really tricky students. One of my students like created a resume, and he added a huge list of tools on the white sheet with white letters. So you couldn't even see the tags. He just created tags and added the tags to the resume or to the CV. And so that when a machine learning or when an indexing thing runs through it, it picks up all the actual tools. But if you just have the PDF or just read it, you will not see them because it's white on white. So I found this really that man, that was nice. That was funny. Like that was really interesting. A good idea, good work around a good cheat. I'm not sure if it's that if people are so happy when they see it, like, but for getting through the first stage, it's quite interesting. Like he thought of something, yeah. All right. So I think I'm going to finish for today. I don't want to go too long. It's like 1.5 hours. That's a nice podcast, nice video. We've been talking about some topics, about some interesting topics, and I was able to show you a bit more about like what I'm doing, what I'm currently working on, where we're heading. Yeah, I'm trying now. I'm trying. I know I've said this like 1,000 times. I'm trying to actually do this more often. So my goal is to actually at least once a week, every Friday, I'm going to come here, use this as the Q&A for our academy to talk about the questions from the students, and also like give you an update of like what is it to work on building an online school, so you can come along a bit on the journey on building all of this. Yeah. Again, if you want to, if you're interested in data engineering, check out the tests, the assessments that I have on learndataengineering.com. If you know someone who's interested in creating a course or contributing a course, let me know. Send him or she send her to the course, to the site, to the forum, and I'm going to come back to them, and hopefully we can bring in a lot of people. Like I want to really bring in a lot of courses and because through the coaching we have made some money that I want to reinvest in everything. I hate paying taxes, and so what's the best way of actually not paying taxes? Reinvesting in the company, reinvesting in getting you guys more value, getting more courses, helping also other creators of spreading the word about them, and like that's what I want to do. Yeah, let's finish here. I don't want to go too long. That was a nice podcast, and I feel like it's a bit more relaxed this way. I need to also, and for me, it's like I need to focus less on the actual viewers. I need to actually focus more on bringing the value, showing you the stuff, and helping you. If you have more questions, yeah, just either comment here on this post after the live stream, or just where could you also reach me? Yeah, comment on the YouTube video of this one here. You'll find this on YouTube after the stream. Yeah. All right, everybody. See you next week. Have a great weekend. I'm going to have some work to do on the weekend. To work a bit on the academy, a bit on the actual content, and then hopefully see each other next week here, Friday, or if I come on sooner as well. Let's see. Have a great weekend. Bye bye, everyone.